I'm going to tell you guys right now, I have no idea what was going on during this event. I hit 3 Vicavolts back to back to back from rounds 3 to 5. We're seeing a 3-0 Jolteon VMAX on stream right now versus Mew. People are cutting cross switchers from Mew. Like, this tournament is a mess all over the place, and I do not understand the thinking from any of these players. So, how are you guys doing? We are here for another round 4 match. Last round was round 4. This is the lunch break round 4, where I was sulking in the corner playing Pokemon Stadium minigames for an hour while I was trying to decompress from losing to my first 2 Vicavolts of the day, right before I lost to my third. And again, yes, we do see Mew VMAX. A little unfortunate, we see double turbo in the prize cards, but at least one of them is at the bottom. And then on the other side, we see a Jolteon deck that will most likely be being played with Inteleon as an engine. Again, not sure what is the reasoning for that. I mean, I guess it's a lightning attacker, but it doesn't beat... Like, it has a bad Lugia matchup, even if they're not playing Dunsparce. So I'm not quite sure why you would play Jolteon VMAX at this tournament. You do not one-shot... I'm pretty sure you don't one-shot a Lugia V-Star. Even through the weakness. Because doesn't it do like 100? And then 100 to the bench? So, 2-shotting 2 Lugia V-Stars does not seem good, in my opinion. We do see the Path to the Peak. The League promo one looks like non-holo as well, so I do like that from Jason here. And we are just going to pass the turn. Also important to note that these are the box versions, the alternate arts of the Jolteons that we are seeing here. Hopefully we see the same for the Jolteon VMAXs as well. Looks like a pretty dead hand from Jason as well. But at least he will be able to attack on the next turn since he has the... I don't even remember what it's called. Elemental Badge, I think? It allows Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon Vs to attack for 1 less energy. We also see a couple of Sobbles on the bench. We do have a Level Ball in hand, so even though the hand is looking very small and dead, at least he will be able to get a Drizzile to maybe get a Research for more cards. So we'll have to see if he is judged by Brian here on the left here with the Mew VMAX deck. We do see the opening battle VIP pass. We are going to search our deck. We're going to prize check as well. He likely at this point already knows he has 2 double turbo energies prized. That is one of the things you definitely want to be checking for in the prize cards if you are the Mew VMAX player. You want to make sure you know how many Mew VMAXs you have, how many Genesects, how many double turbo energies, and we are seeing note-taking too. So note-taking was actually very big at this tournament, so I guess people are starting to listen to me when I say take notes. Because I believe half of my opponents did take notes, which is very unheard of. Usually it's only 1 or 2. But yeah, I think at least 4 of my opponents took notes against me over the course of the whole tournament. We are seeing an Ultra Ball is going to get rid of the Path to the Peak. We already have one in play, so obviously not going to do very good. Here, we also see the early discard of the Echoing Horn. Since you have it in hand this early, I do believe that that is perfectly fine to discard. It would be a lot better in the late game, but again, you should be able to power through a couple of Jolteon VMAX. Not too terribly difficult for the Mew VMAX. You'll likely be able to knock out 2 VMAXs off of 3 attacks on average, so. Do not have a... Oh, we do have a Collapse Stadium from you. That is a very odd tech inclusion. Looks like Jason does not know what that card does, so likely both of their first regionals here. Mew does not like being under Collapse Stadium, so not sure why we are playing that in Mew. Does not hurt Jason really at all. But at least that gets you out of the path so you can start to draw cards here. We also have a Forest Seal Stone, so we will have a V-Star power that can search for any one card at some point in the game should we need to do that. It will work under path as well because the Pokemon Tool card has the ability, not the Pokemon V, which is very odd. it kind of contradicts itself in its own text. It says that the Pokemon V can use the ability, but the Pokemon Tool has the ability, so the Pokemon V is using the Pokemon Tool's ability. So even though Pokemon V don't have abilities, it's not the Pokemon that has the ability. So it's a very odd rule. It's like very much a Yu-Gi-Oh ruling. Like the cards don't do what they say kind of thing. We are going to see a level ball that will likely get us this Drizzile. We will likely Drizzile for a Professor's Research. We are also seeing the Holo League promo Drizzile as well. I've pulled a couple of the non-holos. I'm always a fan of playing non-holo cards just because the holos are always... they always warp. And then if you get deck checked, they're like, well, why are these specific cards, you know, shaped like the letter U in your deck? It's like, well, because that's the way Pokemon prints them. I do like the trainer gallery arts on full art Pokemon, but that's about all I play these days. I don't play any full art supporters anymore. I'm just always trying to play as many non-holos as possible. It would have been nice if some Pokemon Vs came out in the pop promo packs non-holo. That would have been cool, but unfortunately they are still just as holo as they were before. So we are seeing a second shady dealings from this Drizzile. Maybe we are going to be looking for an Evolution Incense to get the Jolteon VMAX. Looks like we are looking through the deck I guess we're prize checking now, even though this is no longer our first search of the game. We are going to get the Evo Incense. We are going to shuffle the deck, even though we're going immediately right back in. Not sure why we're doing that. And we do get the alternate art of the Jolteon VMAX from the deck. So Max Thunder Rumble does 100 plus you bench snipe 100 to something that already has damage counters on it. So these Intellions, when the Drizzile evolves, will be able to put 20 damage onto one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Therefore, you can snipe it for 100 with the Jolteon. Since the Oricorio is in play, it is also important to note we are only hitting 80 to both the active and to the bench. So I think Jason might want to take the Oricorio out. So as long as he is able to use the Inteleon on the next turn. But it looks like we are going to see a Big Parasol as well here. Big Parasol will prevent effects of attacks, but yeah, it's not going to help against Jolteon's bench damage. You have to be active for the Big Parasol to even work, and damage is not an effect. So we're going to have to see. We are going to see probably an easy knockout on this Jolteon V here. We are going to draw a couple of cards with Genesect. We do need to find a Mew VMAX. Looks like we're just going to attack with the benched one. We already have a Mew VMAX on the bench. We are going to use the attack Cross Fusion Strike to copy Genesect V's Techno Blast, which does 210 minus 20 because of the double turbo energy, is 190 for an exact one-shot on the Jolteon V. Now, so long as Brian can be able to draw into some power tablets, on the next turn we may see a one-shot of this Jolteon VMAX. This has always been a very bad matchup for the for the Jolteon VMAX deck against Mew. Mew is just too fast and too powerful, especially now with the double turbo energy only build. Although the Fusion Strike energy build with the Elisas is actually even better against Jolteon VMAX, just because any Pokemon that has a Fusion Strike energy on it is not affected by Pokemon abilities. So the quick shooting from the Inteleon actually does not work on any Pokemon that has a Fusion Strike energy on it. We do see the Temple of Sinnoh, which did shut off the Speed Lightning energy, turning it pure colorless. However, we do see an attached return of a basic Lightning energy, so that is exactly what Jason wants in play. That is also going to make it so the double turbo energies are only one colorless. We do not see the Inteleon come down yet from Jason, but we did see a Cheryl get I believe, just discarded to get that Sobble into play. If Mew VMAX misses the knockout, I would have loved to see the Cheryl, but I guess we're not going that route now. We're just going to hope that Mew can't attack on this next turn. So Mew be doing Mew things. We're going to be searching our deck for cards. We're going to be drawing some more cards with Genesect. And we are likely going to be able to take a one-shot either on this active or that benched V with the use of something like a Boss's Orders or a double cross switcher should this person be playing it, because for some reason nobody in this tournament seems to be playing cross switchers. I did not believe that until I saw the last round when the one player was not playing cross switchers, but I did see it on Twitter where a majority of the decks that were in day 2 for Mew were not playing cross switcher. But of course they all did terribly too, so looks like we are going to see the triple power tablet. The Lost City does come into play as well, which allows Brian to be able to put one additional Pokemon onto his bench. So let's see, so we have 3 power tablets. That is an additional 90 damage. So we will be doing 90. That's 280. We're still looking for a 4th power tablet or a choice belt here in order to one-shot this active Jolteon VMAX. And if we do that, we will be down to 1 prize card here for Brian, meaning that you can one-shot any of Jason's benched Inteleon pieces in order to take the win. We are going to Ultra Ball. We'll probably be failing this one since we don't really have anything we want in hand. If Brian had, say, another Ultra Ball in hand, maybe I would have liked to see the grab of a Pokemon just to discard it. We do see the Mew VMAX come down. And we are going to be able to draw some more cards here. Looks like we are going to attach a second double turbo. I'm not sure why we attached the second double turbo to the same Mew VMAX. I guess it's so that in case Temple comes down into play again and you don't have another stadium. So I guess that's correct. We do see the choice belt, so we will be able to see the knockout on the Jolteon VMAX now. Not sure why they decided to put this on stream, because this seems like a very one-sided matchup. Mew just kind of goes burr. Shuts off brain, plays power tablet, go burr. Knock out everything. I guess they were just excited to see the one Jolteon VMAX player in the room at 3-0, so. We do see a switch cart and a retreat just to draw some more cards. I don't think you really need to draw anything more at this point. Maybe trying to self-insulate in case your opponent plays another Path to the Peak. And we are going to see the knockout for, what is it, 310 damage? So 10 more than we need. And that Jolteon VMAX goes down, takes 3 prize cards, goes down to 1 prize left. We do have a Boss's Orders in hand, so Jason is going to want to be able to play a Roxanne this turn. I would hope that he is playing that. So we are going to want to see a Sobble or a Shady Deal, or a Drizzile or a Shady Dealings Inteleon. Yep, and that is important to note that the Jolteon does get Lost Zoned in case Jason plays anything along the lines of the Ordinary Rod, maybe. We do see a Galarian Zigzagoon here as well. That could help Jason try to come back into this game by taking maybe an additional prize card, maybe being able to knock out the Oricorio. Help the math here on the other Pokemon. Let's see, this one that's active now has 160 damage on it. If you're doing 80, that's 280. You're going to need a Choice Belt in order to take the knockout, but if you Choice Belt your Jolteon, you will not be able to... Yeah, so see, the math is really hurting here since we did not take the knockout on that Oricorio earlier. So the only way for Jolteon to get going this turn and take the knockout on the active is to Raihan and grab Choice Belt off of it. But it looks like we are instead going for the Professor's Research. Looks like we are not playing any Shady Dealings Inteleon. Otherwise, I would have liked to see that already. Jolteon needs 2 energies in order to attack. Jason is really digging for quite a lot at this point. We do see the Speed Lightning will allow him to draw an additional 2 cards. We see a Boss and a Scoop Up Net. I don't think those are really going to get you very much anywhere. We have the Elemental Badge so we can attack, but that Mew VMAX will live. We are going to have to see a Shady Dealings, or the Quick Shooting Inteleon at some point as well. Maybe we can pick off the Mew VMAX by using that. But it looks like now we're going to see a Shady Dealings Inteleon. Yeah, so I don't know what Jason's really doing. Because at this point, you need to Quick Shooting the active, Scoop Up Net that, evolve the next Drizzile, Quick Shooting that. Then get the Jolteon VMAX, and then you can knock out both the Mew VMAX and the Oricorio simultaneously, take 4 prize cards, and then just hope that your opponent does not have the boss's orders. So, yeah. So, I guess, yeah, Roxanne would have been great here. If you did Roxanne, double Quick Shooting, then you would be able to take 4 prize cards potentially this turn, and then make it so the opponent still needs. So you'd also need a Path to the Peak as well. So that's a lot of cards to need, but it is something that was doable. But I think this line of play that Jason has gone for has made it so he is not able to put together all of that. He does have a Temple of Sinnoh here instead. However, that Mew VMAX on the bench does have double turbo, so that will not really help him. Both the double turbos will turn into single colorless energies. Looks like we are going for another. Yeah, see, I don't. Yeah, I think this game is already lost for Jason. He is playing the double Scoop Up Net to scoop up all of those Inteleon pieces. I think Inteleon at this point in the format is too slow. A lot of these decks just get going way too fast. We are possibly going to be able to go for a single Quick Shooting on the next turn, but that would not knock out the Mew VMAX. It would be still a little too short, I believe. And we do see that the boss's orders was already in hand since Jason was not able to play the Roxanne, was not able to get that out, and then thus loses the game. So we are going to go on to game 2. Again, just a very bad matchup for Jason. He would have probably liked to hit Lost Box instead. Maybe that is why he's playing Jolteon. He thinks he just has such a good Lost Box matchup that he was hoping to just run straight through those since it won the OCIC. We also see on his hat he has evolution pins, kind of pointing towards the type of deck that he is playing here. We are on 1080 still. Sometimes my YouTube just turns the quality down to like 480p out of nowhere, so I always like to just double check. So we're going to go straight into game 2 here. We see the Echoing Horn is prized. Double Power Tablet is prized as well. So we will not be able to take a one-shot on a Jolteon VMAX. That is very important. Jason here prizes a Speed Lightning Energy, which could hurt consistency, along with a Drizzile and Shady Dealings Inteleon. Again, we're going to want to see Quick Shooting in this matchup to make it so that Choice Belt is not as needed. We are going to see an Energy Search, likely going to get a Lightning Energy. Pretty sure that's the only color of energy he is playing in this deck. Would not be opposed to seeing a one of Water Energy in this deck, just to see the possibility of an Inteleon attacking at some point. Playing just one energy of an opposite color is fine, because then any combination of energy cards you play will still allow Jolteon VMAX to attack for the two energy cost. That was a strategy that was used a lot in things like Manectric Bats back in the day during the X and Y era, where it had a lightning and single colorless attack cost. So you could just put one fire or fighting energy in there and then keep the rest all basic lightning. And therefore, if you went against a bad matchup like Lucario Bats, and they were playing the Scorched Earth, was it called? Where it allowed you to discard a fighting or fire energy in order to draw 2 cards, you could then use that in that matchup and make your consistency a little bit better. We do see the Radiant Eternatus comes down from Jason as well, so that might be another reason why he is deciding to play this deck here, as that allows him to get double Jolteon VMAX into play on turn 1 without having to evolve from Jolteon V. Of course, now he has a useless bench sitter of the Radiant Eternatus in play, disallowing him from playing his Inteleon line to its fullest effectiveness, and already started a Jolteon as well, so you would have preferred to see maybe a start of a Sobble in order to use the Radiant Eternatus and then scoop up net the Radiant Eternatus and keep calling. But you can't do that all in one turn, since the Radiant Eternatus does end your turn. Radiant Eternatus does remind me a lot of the Mega Evolution mechanic, again from the X and Y era, where if you evolved your Pokemon EX into a Mega Pokemon EX, it would immediately end your turn. And since these Pokemon VMAX are in a lot of ways like those Mega Pokemon, being just bulkier 2-prize Pokemon, and in this case 3-prize Pokemon, it again just feels like you're playing Megas. Once Spirit Links became a thing, it was a lot better to and more reliable to use Mega Evolution Pokemon, but it was still a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes you still had to end your turn evolving. And it was never really good ending your turn by evolving unless you were Mega Rayquaza, since you could evolve on the first turn going first. But yeah, it just feels bad just playing Radiant Eternatus just to put 2 Pokemon in play. So we did see that that Jolteon VMAX get brought straight up. We are going to see a Mew. Brian may have checked his prize cards already and knows that there is a double double power tablet in his prize cards, and just puts the Jolteon VMAX up maybe as a way, either because he wanted to hit into it and just cause some damage, or just because it has no energy. But I'm pretty sure that Jolteon VMAX also has free retreat. It does not have a retreat cost. So by putting that up, in all honesty, it doesn't really affect board state whatsoever. We also see the Jolteon V evolve into a VMAX. So now we have 3 VMAXs in play. We are going to see the Professor's Research is going to discard the Inteleon and a Boss's Orders. I do not like those being discarded, but you got to do what you got to do at this point in the game. You are really hurting for energy cards. You need that, maybe the, what's it called, the Evolution Badge as well. You've already used your 1 Drizzile for the turn. Looks like we are going to get a Zigzagoon. I think that that needs to ping the Oricorio. I think that that is what you have to knock out first in this matchup. Again, this deck is from when I was not playing the game. I did not come back to the game until Brilliant Stars was pre-released. So, right around the end of the Fusion Strike format. So I did not really play against a lot of this Jolteon VMAX deck, but I do know about how well it operates since it was in its dying phase when I came back into the game. But I do believe that in this matchup you want to get rid of that Oricorio, make it so you do that extra 20 damage. That makes it so you are a lot closer to knockouts. You don't need Choice Belt. You need to use less quick shootings. But again, Jason filled his bench with Jolteon VMAXs and that Radiant Eternatus, so now he's not going to be able to have any Sobbles to turn into the quick shooting Inteleons, which I believe he's already discarded one of as well. The Temple of Sinnoh already comes out of play, and we're going to see an immediate judge. That is going to make Jason's hand a little bit different. We don't see that it was very good already, but he did have a Marnie. If he was able to combine that with something like a Path to the Peak on the next turn, then it would have been a good hand, but Mew is just looking to dig for some cards right now. We're going to want to see some power tablets. Unfortunately, again, we are not going to be able to take the full knockout since we have double power tablet prized, unless we see a Silene as well, but the judge was already played this turn, so we're not going to be able to see that type of play happen. Because you could always use your 2 power tablets, put at least one of those back into the deck on average with Silene, and then redraw into it and replay the same power tablet. That would allow for the knockout, especially with that choice belt. But yeah, again, since the judge was played, you're not going to be able to see that Silene be played this turn. We did also see a little bit earlier when that Zigzagoon did come down, Brian did read Big Parasol, his own Big Parasol. I am assuming that he thought that the Big Parasol was able to protect him, but it's only effects of attacks, it's not from abilities. Again, Fusion Strike Energy would protect you from the Galarian Zigzagoon and the Quick Shooting Inteleon, but of course he is not playing that build of the Mew VMAX. Correctly so, but in this matchup, a little less ideal. The Lost City is in play now, so we are going to be able to Lost Zone some Jolteons, potentially, or maybe even Inteleon lines would be really great to Lost Zone. Especially since Jason only has the 1 in play, you want to minimize his ability to be able to even play any at any point. Also, not sure where these dice came from. These are not the stream dice we know and love. Maybe Jason is playing his own dice, which usually the stream does not allow. They always make you use your their dice so that you can see the pips clearly. It's very hard to tell on the stream here, especially at this size, but that is a 100 damage dice and a 120 damage dice. So that is a total of 220 that is on this Jolteon. In my personal opinion, I do like this a lot better because it's easier for me to read the damage. However, not a lot of people have vision as good as mine. I do have distance glasses, so I can see my screen quite clearly. We are going to scoop up net. Looks like the Zigzagoon is being considered. I think that that is the correct thing to scoop up. You'd rather leave that Drizzile to turn into a quick shooting later, if you still have access to any quick shootings. We are going to soften up maybe the Mew V or a Genesect. I think a Genesect would be fine. Unless your opponent is playing Volo, that damage is really going to be able to stick. Or unless they're playing like something like multiple switch cards, they can get a lot of healing down in one turn. Would be a little awkward. We are going to see the double snipe. We're going to hit 100 to the active and 100 to the bench. And this is the way that Jolteon VMAX likes to play against the Mew VMAX, is it likes to just go for those Genesects and bring those things active and hope that the opponent cannot move them. Now, since Jason's active Pokemon is still the one that has the damage counters, if Brian is forced to go for a cross switcher in order to move his Genesect, he now has to also move the opponent's active Jolteon VMAX to the bench as well. So that is not ideal. You want to be able to take the knockout on this, pull those power tablets off your prize cards, and then go for a one-shot afterwards, and just outpace your opponent that way. But it looks like Jason is actually playing this game fairly decently, being able to go for those Genesects. So we do see the Mew VMAX that is undamaged with a double turbo energy on it come up to the active. We are also going to see the Forest Sealstone's V-Star power. Going to search the deck for any one card. I'm a little curious as to what it is. Now that Mew VMAX does not have to use Technoblast in order to take the knockout here. We have 220 damage on the active, which means you only have to hit for 80. You could even copy the other Mew VMAXs. Max Miracle, do 110 and take the knockout that way. You can even leave, that way you can keep your Mew VMAX active next turn and still be able to attack with it. You won't have to dig for a double turbo energy. Unfortunately, as we see here, Brian does not dig either of those power tablets off the prize cards. So a little unfortunate for him there. He is going to have to two-shot another Jolteon VMAX. But also, luckily for him, Jason does not have any energy in play yet. And has also only taken one prize card. If he is going to be able to take out a knockout on this turn, it will be to just knock out that Genesect that is damaged. It is very unfortunate for him, actually, that Brian is playing this unoptimal, what's it called, Collapse Stadium, because Brian was able to discard the damaged Genesect V, making it so Jason has one less out to prize cards now. He put all that effort into damaging double Genesect on the previous turn, and now there's only one Genesect damage in play. And we are going to see the boss's orders bring up the Drizzile. That is not a bad play. Make it so your opponent continues to brick. You know that their hand is completely dead. You can take an easy one-shot on that Drizzile, again with the Max Miracle. And now that gives you all the turns you need to be able to two-shot a Jolteon VMAX. Jason does have a Cheryl in hand, so hopefully he is able to attach for a turn and attack this turn and then Cheryl again, but looks like we're not going to be able to do that. The top deck, it looked like, was an Evolution Incense, so Brian was able to skillfully get rid of that Drizzile, make it so that Shady Dealings Inteleon does not come down and make his hand live. So perfect call there for a knockout on the previous turn. I would like to just see another Max Miracle this turn. Yep, copying Max Miracle. I saw him point to the Mew VMAX. So that will be another 110 damage we are doing. Yep, really can't see that die in particular, but that does say 110. We are going to Cheryl. That's perfectly fine because, oh, but we do see we drew Speed Lightning. So now we can attack this turn. We also get a Level Ball, might be able to get us another Sobble, and we can start building a Shady Dealings chain again. It's unlikely we're going to see enough bosses from Brian to be able to take out both the Galarian Zigzagoon and the Sobble. And even if it gets to that point, Jason can always scoop up net one of those Pokemon so that you only have 3 prizers in play when Brian has 1 prize left. So the route to victory for Brian is going to be one of the Jolteon VMAX. So we do see that the Genesect goes down. Jason is able to take another 2 prize cards, has 3 prize cards left, and we see Brian was able to get the Power Tablet off of his prize cards. Therefore, he is able to play triple Power Tablet with the Choice Belt and is able to take the one shot on the Jolteon VMAX to win this game 2-0. Again, very highly favored for the Mew VMAX deck against the Jolteon VMAX deck. And that is why Jolteon VMAX has really fallen out of favor. Even though it is a very solid, I would say, Lightning deck, I don't even see how it would be able to beat Lugia. Just because you're only doing like 200 to the active and 100 to the bench. You can snipe out the Dunsparce very easily, but a lot of Lugia decks also play Manaphy. So it just seems like it's not enough damage, especially when you're not being able to play the Choice Belt, since you have to hard attach to energy in order to do that. You usually rely on that Elemental Badge and the Cheryl. And something like the Lugia can just put up an Evital and one-shot your VMAX. You can even just attack with a Charizard, which is a 1-prizer as well. And yeah, so that is the game, guys. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe to feed that YouTube algorithm. He is always hungry. Don't let him starve. And we will see you guys next time for round 5 of the Knoxville Pokemon Regional Championships.